What's happening, my friends? Happy Friday. I am so pumped to jump on for this next episode of A Sexy Confident Life. If you're joining me live, incredible. I love it when you jump on my live podcast. So I'm going to hit record here in a second. I just wanted to say happy Friday. And I'm all decked out for you today because it's Friday. It's date night, right? So I am psyched because, we're going to jump in right here. All right, let's go. Welcome back to A Sexy Confident Life. Guys, today we're jumping into the 10th Sexy Confident Life principle that I have been sharing over the past, 10 weeks now. I've been sharing a life principle that I truly live by each and every single day. And it's taken me a while to really kind of get into the habit of bringing myself back into these principles and reminding myself of them all the time. And this last principle, principle number 10, is the love letter. Now, some of you might be like, what is she talking about? Is she going to write me a love letter? Is this a love letter she writes to Vito? What's the deal? But I'm really excited to share this with you. And this is in the Sexy Confident Woman Formula in week 3. This is where we're really diving deeper into mindset and principles that allow us to be free. And I feel like self-freedom is something that we all need more of. So today I'm going to dive into this. And I start with talking about freedom because I do believe that our greatest freedom is our ability to be ourselves. Isn't it? I mean, if you think about it, our ability to, wear what we want and do our hair the way we want and wear the makeup that we want or the earrings that we want or do our nails the way we want or express ourselves creatively the way that we want to, be in relationships that we want to, study what we want to, read what we want to. I feel like our greatest gift is our ability to be authentic, our ability to be ourselves, right? It's so important. And I start with that because when we can't truly be ourselves, it hurts, doesn't it? I don't know if you can think back to a time when somebody might have been suffocating that ability in you. Maybe you felt doubtful about who you are because somebody put you down. Or you're in a relationship that doesn't allow you to fully be your authentic self because you're afraid you might maybe hurt someone else's ego or make them feel inferior. And these are all in your head, right? Or they're not. Maybe people tell you this in your life, that you make me feel bad about myself, or that, you stepping into your light makes me feel inferior. I don't know. There's a lot of things that go on in our lives where the outside world can kind of strip us away of this right, this freedom to be ourselves. I don't like that. That's not good. That's not a good place to be. And I know that sometimes it's hard to break free of that, isn't it? It's hard to tell the people that make you feel like you can't be yourself that, hey, it's time for me to move on, right? Or, hey, this is what I really need. This is what I really want in my life. Are you okay with that? I'm going to speak up for myself right now. Woo! I know that's hard to do sometimes, especially when it's people in our life that, we love and maybe we've been hiding our true feelings, thoughts, and emotions for so long. And now it's like, oh my God, after 10 years of marriage, am I going to really tell them that position isn't good for me? Sorry, TMI. But, come on, right? There might be things that you have been holding back for so long. And that's holding back your freedom of self. So I talk about this in another way too, because what's crazy is that so many people actually strip this freedom away from themselves. You heard me. You know how it feels when somebody else makes you feel inferior, or somebody else makes you feel like you gotta hide, hold back, wait. I know people that have expressed this to me that, I finally feel free to do what I want to do. I finally feel like I can be myself. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. But what about when we're criticizing ourselves? When we're not speaking up for ourselves because we doubt ourselves. The voices in our head are telling us that maybe we're not good enough. We shouldn't do that because what if we fail? Or you're not pretty enough to wear that dress, or fit enough to wear those shorts, or sexy enough to strut in front of that mirror that way. I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of us that strip our self-identity down. And you know what? Every time you give yourself a criticism or you have that doubt in your mind about yourself, about who you are, about expressing your true creative side, about fully embracing your self-identity, you take a bite out of your heart. It's not somebody else's time taking a bite out of your heart. It's you taking a bite, right? And I slow down here because this is heavy. This is real heavy stuff. And every time you take a bite out of your heart because you're not really fully loving yourself, I think it comes back to that love. Think about the things that you sometimes say to yourself in your mind, maybe not out loud. Maybe you don't want anybody to hear that. Would you say it to a friend? Would you give that same treatment to a family member, a child? Probably not. And the reason I talk about that is because I feel that the best way that I've learned to check myself, if you will, if I'm having these thoughts about myself that aren't allowing me to feel awesome about myself or to fully express myself or stand up for myself and be myself and to go for what I truly desire in my life or go for what I want in my life, I ask myself, would I tell my friend, my closest friend, to hold back, that they're not good enough, that they don't have what it takes? And if I can't say yes, I shouldn't be saying it to myself. And so as you think on this right now, I want you to think about the love you give to yourself. The love. Is it the same level of love you give to other people? Sadly, this is not the case for many of us. It wasn't the case for me for a while. And some people might say this is selfish. I can't give myself more love than I give other people. That would be selfish. Wrong. Because until you give yourself all the love that you have in your heart, you can't fully give that love to someone else. Do you believe that? Do you believe that if you gave yourself more love, that it would open the doors of freedom for you? If you didn't criticize or doubt or have this fear inside that held you back from being fully you, because you were like, you're amazing, and you complimented yourself more often, and you embraced your strengths and your weaknesses and your weird, like habits and, your the things that you do that maybe aren't the norm. Instead of fitting in to everybody else's mold, you're so different and unique, and your body is shaped differently, and you think differently, and you speak differently, and that's so awesome. And you've got to be the first one to embrace it. You've got to be the first one on the front lines, loving on yourself, like full on loving on yourself. You got to look in that mirror and be like, hey, self, you're looking good. I like them eyebrows. I'm digging on that little pimple you got here on your cheek. Whatever. You know what? Love it. Love on yourself. So one of the techniques I teach in the Sexy Confident Woman formula is writing yourself a love letter. It's empowering. And I encourage you, I can't give you the template because that's in the course, but I give my students a template to start this process. And I teach them the most important elements of this love letter for full empowerment. Because when we can fully start to believe the positive words and the love that we can dish out to ourselves, we become different people. We become more joyful, more accepting. You know, it's like if you do have this love for yourself, people see it. They see you differently when you show up totally sure and certain of the woman that you are. You stand in your power, unafraid of what others might think or of being different or of, you know, if you know you're acting in your best, you can't hurt other people when you stand in your power. They see your light, they see your beauty, they see your authenticity, and that's what you've got to share with the world, because everyone being the same is kind of boring. Gotta admit, that's why I love people so much. I'm a people lover. I love meeting different people, weirdo people. Like, you know, they're weirdo to me because I'm not like them, right? But I don't think they're like bad weirdo. They're just different than me, and I love them for it. I think it's so awesome. You know, and you gotta stand in that power and own it, right? I don't think anybody should be ashamed of who they are, you know, especially if you're living with love and care and you're here to serve in the world and you're here to be a good person, right? So write yourself that love letter. Give yourself the opportunity to appreciate yourself, to acknowledge who you are and the beauty that you bring. Have you ever written someone else a love letter, or have you ever received a love letter? It's pretty awesome, isn't it? It makes you feel so good inside. It's so awesome to hear loving words from someone else. And I know it might be awkward at first to say those words to yourself if that's not what you've been doing. But let me remind you that that isn't something that should feel weird for too long. If you get used to giving love to yourself and saying kind things to yourself and appreciating and really admiring who you are more and more, you are going to be a better person in this world. Other people are going to want to be around you more. They're going to want to be around the energy and the authenticity that you bring into the room. And you know what? You're going to be better at everything you do when you give yourself the freedom to be yourself. So I hope today you'll say, self, I love you. And here's why. And go to town, my friend. I want to hear what you think about this episode. Please leave a comment below if you watch this live. If you go to my show notes, I am also going to highly encourage you to download one of my freedom assessments. It is a gift from me to you. And what I love about this freedom assessment is that it gives you the opportunity to ask yourself a few questions about the freedom you have of yourself, the freedoms that you have in your life for unity. That means your friendships, your relationships, the freedoms that you have in your life for the work that you do, your occupation, all the time you spend, you know, most of your day doing. What is it that you do? Do you have the freedom to do what you love? It's also going to talk about freedoms of your lifestyle, and it's going to give you kind of a roadmap of how to enhance every one of those freedoms. I call that soul freedom. And so I hope you'll get that free gift from me today as we wrap up this amazing Sexy Confident Life Principle series. I gave you 10 principles. Go back, check them out. I value these so much. And if you want to make yourself a list of the 10 principles you're going to be living by and hold yourself to them, you know, make sure that you aren't just, you know, operating your life, reacting to the world and, you know, kind of living with blinders on, but live with intention, right? Move about really knowing where you're going and why, and the things that you do have purpose. and meaning, and they have intention because you know what you want to create for yourself. That's so important. That's why principles can really be the anchor to who you are, who you become in the world. So I hope you'll take that advice. And if you guys are loving the Sexy Confident Life podcast, please leave a review. It will help expose this podcast to more and more people who want this type of conversation in their life. Thank you so much for being here and listening. I love you guys. I hope you love yourself. And I can't wait for you to get started on that love letter. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.